go to the very next guest.
Yo, oh, perfect. You did it.
Perfect.
I did.
All right, boss.
Yeah, what do you got? Wait, first of all, aren't you both atheists?
No,
we've recently we've done what we needed to do to become
Okay,
theists.
sure. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Is there like a specific religion, or are you just like theists in general?
Just straight up theists.
Okay. What makes you think that God exists?
Okay, so I'll like give the preliminary definitions that I'll let Cap kind of break it down. But we take God to be the necessary being, created the universe. And I guess just some like deductive reasoning how we got there.
Sure.
Yeah, we have an argument called the KG ontological argument that we've been working on. I could just give you we could just go premise by premise. You could tell me if you disagree with anything or not. But I will tell you that some of the definitions in here are kind of proprietary. So if you need clarity on any of the terms, let me know.
Sure. I'll type it up. Yeah, let's go for it. What's premise 1?
If no necessary thing is possible, and a contingent thing is possible, then that possible contingent thing could not possibly have an external explanation.
Then that possible thing cannot possibly have an external explanation.
And the relevant modality is a logical one.
Okay. If no necessary thing is possible, that means that the only things that are possible are contingent things, and a contingent thing is possible. Then that possible thing cannot possibly have by external explanation.
You added a little bit in there.
Sorry, I'm working through the implication of that. So it would be that if no necessary thing is possible, at that point you'd be saying that if anything at all is possible, then it's a contingent thing.
No. This is what premise 1 is saying. Okay, so look, let's just type this out. An external explanation is the type of explanation where the explanandum and the explanans are not of the same class.
Explanandum. That's crazy.
So they're not.
Sorry, what's the other one? Explanandum and
and the explanans are not of the same class.
Explanans are not of the same class.
Now, what premise 1 is getting at here is, look, let's take the dichotomy. Any referent X that exists is going to be contingent or necessary, right? When we take this dichotomy and we say, okay, if we're talking about the class of contingencies, right? If we ask ourselves, can I have external explanation? Well, remember, give our definition of external explanation, it couldn't be another contingent thing. So given this dichotomy, what would be the other option? It had to be a necessary thing.
Yeah.
But if a necessary thing was impossible, premise 1 is saying it couldn't have an external explanation.
Yeah, sure. So you're just saying like if basically what premise 1 is saying is that if no necessary thing is possible, but there is contingent things that are possible, well, the explanation for them is not a necessary thing. It would need to be a contingent thing.
Yeah, and it's saying they couldn't have an external explanation given if they could have one, that thing is already impossible. So they couldn't even have one if the necessary thing is impossible.
Yeah, this seems reasonable to me, sure.
Okay. You can give premise 2, Cap.
Yeah, and then premise 2 is going to be a contingent thing is possible.
Ooh, weirdly, this premise is going to be contentious.
And that possible contingent thing could have some external explanation.
A possible contingent thing could have an external explanation. Okay, so there's like a couple of things to say about this. The first is that I am a necessitarian, so I actually don't think contingent things are possible. Well, sorry, if you accept the PSR, which it kind of sounds like your argument is going to have to, then
no, our argument
you don't
doesn't
accept
use
it's
any,
without the PSR.
It doesn't commit you to any synthetic facts outside of the conclusion.
Okay, sure. So at that point, I would take it that the argument would need to presuppose that the PSR is false then, because the PSR necessarily leads to the...
Oh, I know the problem, Cap. He's not understanding our talk about explanation.
Yeah, he doesn't okay, so look, the way we use explanation is not the way that Leibniz uses it in his contingency argument. Right, explanation here is going to be a counterfactual dependency. Maybe you want to write this down. It's just a counterfactual dependency relation. It's going to be something like...
Yeah, I understand counterfactuals.
Yeah, if X doesn't obtain, Y doesn't obtain, and then X will be the explanation for Y.
Okay, sure. So a contingent thing is possible, and that possible contingent thing could have an external explanation, where this is just a thing where, like the counterfactual relation there, these things are not in the same class.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this gets past like a lot of issues with like, we ran into issues with modal collapse or other issues with like the accessibility relation and all of that talk.
Sure. So the first problem, I don't really think that resolves the issue, which is that I don't grant that when you say a contingent thing is possible, are you just saying like contingent things by their very definition are possible, or are you saying that they're like in reality there are contingent things?
Well, it's not committed to saying that in reality there are contingent things. It's saying that there possibly is a contingent thing, right? And all that's meant by possible is just that the proposition doesn't output as
Wait,
false.
Ian? Was I muted? I muted
I
myself.
didn't mute you.
No, you're fine. That was
Yeah.
that was me. My bad.
All that's being said by possible is that the proposition doesn't output as false under one evaluation, and the postulates are the kinds of things which are internally coherent. And coherent just means that it's in alignment with a set of axioms within a given logic. We could take classical logic or pair consistent. This will work under both.
So, are you saying that it's possible that in reality there is a contingent thing, or are you saying that contingent things just within their definition are possible?
Well, we're just saying, okay, so we're just saying, given what we take possibility to be, a contingent thing could be possible. And remember, all it means to be possible is that in at least one evaluation, the proposition is outputted as true.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
I'm just
understand. I
saying,
understand that, but the problem is that I'm an necessitarian, so I don't think that contingent things exist.
But we're
Oh,
not
that's
saying
compatible.
we're not, because
Oh,
like
sure.
I've said, yeah,
Because we're not committed to saying that any contingent things do exist.
Well,
we're just saying possible.
I don't think that it's possible because I think because I'm a necessitarian.
And what are you taking possibility to be?
Just that it couldn't obtain.
Okay, but what does it mean to not be, well, under what modality? Let's be clear.
I guess like metaphysical.
Okay, it's a contingent thing is
Well, I don't-
metaphysically impossible.
Yeah, because I
don't
took
know
like
what that
PSR to be
means.
like a metaphysical principle, so probably
you-
it would be
Well, that
metaphysically
seems
impossible
compatible
for
with what we're
contingent
saying.
things to exist. Sure. So
but
you're
that
just saying
seems-
that it's logically. Are you saying that contingent things are logically possible?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess do you have like an argument for that?
Yeah,
Well, we could show you the truth table for it.
you just take a
Sure,
conjunct-
I guess.
You
Go
could
for
just
it.
take you could just take a conjunctive truth table and plug into postulates.
Sure. Show me a truth table.
I'll show you. Give me 1 second.
Cab, are you gonna just cook one up?
I could, but we could just. Well, if you want, you could just imagine.
Well, actually,
all
okay.
possible.
I mean, do you have like a truth table on hand? If not, we might.
Can you conceptualize it, or do you have like a site for it?
I can
mean, we can just.
conceptualize. Like I can imagine it. I just don't think that epistemic possibility implies logical possibility.
What do we take? What do we take logical possibility to be?
Probably just that it, that there's like no violation of laws of logic in it.
No, that's trivial. But we also told you, once again, all it means to be logically possible is that in at least one evaluation, your output is true. So that's all we mean.
It's like when,
Sure,
okay,
but
so you
I
can
don't
imagine-
grant that. And to be clear, I don't grant that epistemic possibility implies logical possibility.
Yeah,
So
we're
I
not
don't think
saying
that being
that's
able to
fine.
imagine something implies that it's a logical possibility.
We're saying,
Look-
can you conceptualize the truth table? Not can you conceptualize?
Are you asking like, can I imagine the contingent thing
table and plug
existing?
in-
Oh no, I'm not really sure what you're saying. The
I'm
truth
not
table for
saying
what?
That.
The truth table for what?
The conjunctive truth table.
A conjunctive truth table for what?
the
Just like
contingent thing.
sure, just for like conjunction. So something like P, Q, P and Q, true, true,
Yeah.
true, true, false, 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 true, false, 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 false.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
something
just do
like
something like this. Do take the postulate P, like there exists a contingency. Take the postulate Q. That contingency has an external explanation.
There
Like in at least
exists-
one. Go ahead, my bad.
Sure, no,
There
you're
exists-
fine, you're fine.
There exists a contingency,
Okay, there exists a contingency.
and then Q could just be like that contingency the contingency has an external explanation.
That contingency has an external explanation.
Yeah,
but why
do you
would I
that's
think that this
outputted-
conjunction is true? Like why I don't grant
What?
that the P part of it is true.
Well, what we could do, we could just say
I'm
something
asking
like,
for like a justification for that.
Well, when you do realize when you do a conjunctive truth table, right? The postulates don't actually have to be true in reality. This is just to show
No,
that
in
under
fact
each one-
they both do actually. Otherwise it evaluates false. You know, if one of them in specifically a conjunctive truth table, if either part of this is false, then it evaluates false. As
Wait,
you can
the
see by the truth
stipulation-
table.
The stipulation in the conjunctive truth table is that one that allows you to maximize the amount of possibilities given to two propositions.
I don't know what that means.
It's just evaluating all the possible truth values for the conjunction. It's not talking about whether or not the conjunction is actually true or reality. Because as you can see, under some of the evaluations, it does actually output as false. But there's one possible amount of truth values that would make the conjunction be true.
Sure. So okay. So then you would say, like, for example, this same argument that you just appealed to, if I plugged in for P and Q, squared circles possibly exist, and the sky is
Oh.
blue.
No,
Would that
because
have a similar
Cap explained-
evaluation?
I
Cap
gave a
explained
further
this
stipulation.
earlier.
I gave a further stipulation, which is that the postulates independently and the conjunction of the two are going to be internally coherent.
Sure.
But
Okay.
I don't-
Why would I think that it's internally coherent that possibly a contingency
Well, it just-
exists?
I would just say that it seems to be the case that there's no law of logic it will violate unless you give me one. I don't think that.
Okay, wait.
we-
So
we put it in
I'll write this.
propositional
I'll write
form.
out this like supplementary argument as well. So the conclusion, possibly a contingency exists, and then premise one is what?
Yeah.
Wait. The conclusion of our argument, or the
No,
truth
just
table?
of like the P for your second premise.
Oh, the two postulates. Wait,
Yeah.
the P for the second premise said
A
It is
contingent thing
possible
is
there,
possible. Yeah.
and that has an external explanation possible. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we could say something like premise one could be, if there's no law of logic, it will violate, and it outputs as true under at least one evaluation. And it is possible, and then we could just say affirm the antecedent modus ponens.
Sure.
But if you're just asking for justification that there's no
Well,
law of logic,
that's like kind of the thing. Yeah, I'm asking like, what's the justification that there's no law of logic that's violated in it?
Yeah. So we could just say something like, when we look at the synthetic facts that would be entailed, or actually no, we could just say, look, there's at least one set of consistent propositions in which don't result in a proposition in its direct negation.
Okay, wait.
Within
So
that set of consistent propositions is the proposition there is a contingent.
that it is possible for a contingency violates. Okay, so your premise one for this is what?
Yeah. If there is a set of consistent propositions which contains the postulate P, which stands for it is possible for a contingency to exist. Then it's possible. It obtains in at least one possible world.
Yep. Okay, I mean, I'm just gonna ask for a justification for like when you throw the antecedent in there again. I'm just gonna ask for a justification for like this thing again.
You want, so let me be clear. You want justification that out of the three laws of logic, none of those are being violated.
Yes.
Okay, and all it means to violate here is that what you want to take some viewer saying, X is going to be impossible if X entails a P and not P.
Sure. Or
something like
any
it
of the
doesn't
other laws
conflict.
of logic.
Okay. Yeah. I guess the way I would motivate that is we could say something like
I don't see the problem of just looking in the defending ends, right? You could just take the defending ends of each term of the proposition. Like, and I don't know if you want to take some. I mean,
which
prima
one?
facie
For
is
this one?
obviously clear, but I'm saying like nothing of. It's like when you ask like, how do you know there's nothing being violated, and then you just like prima facie, you look at it, right? You break down the defending ends, right?
Okay.
Of the proposition, nothing in there is mutually exclusive when you're looking at it, right? So like,
yeah, it doesn't
I
seem
mean,
like
I don't
any of the
know.
laws would be.
Look, I don't know if
exclusive
you
to
have
the
this
proof
type
value.
strict metric where you want to say, we have a metric we utilize to analyze some given proposition and extrapolate or analyze if that proposition entails a contradiction.
Listen, I'm curious. I'm interested in the argument. I don't want this to be like the hang up point. It kind of sounds like you don't really have like a justification other than like it seems like it could be true.
Yo, quick intermission, everybody. I'm collabing with this company called Gabble. It is a debate app on your phone. You can debate people on your phone with ELO and cash prizes for tournaments. The link is in the bio. I want y'all to download it, test it out. It is amazing.
No, we're saying, look, if you look at the defending ends of the possibility and you look at the defending ends of contingency, right? It just seems to be the case that nothing in there conflicts with any of the axioms of classical logic.
Sure.
If you have, look, Ian, if you have some other metric, then literally just analyzing the defending ends, then we could use
Yeah,
that metric.
Do you
that
think?
metric
Well,
and we
okay.
meet our
So
goal.
the problem is, I don't think that it seems like it doesn't violate a law of logic is sufficient for logical possibility, because you could run counterexamples to this like Goldbach's conjecture, where it seems like Goldbach's conjecture holding would be, it seems like that doesn't violate any law of logic, but it also seems like it not holding for some case, it doesn't seem like that would violate a law of logic either. But then that's a contradiction, because that we would then conclude that it's both true and false.
Okay, so look, here's what we go do, right? We just go for the sake of keeping it very succinct, we could just ask you, look, is there a metric that you want us to use to evaluate whether or not this proposition is consistent?
I just want you to give like some sort of demonstration or like some sort of argument that it's
Okay,
possible.
what would a demonstration look like?
I don't know, like a
literally-
syllogism that follows like an inference rule. And
We're
okay,
literally
wait,
breaking down-
I don't want to
understand
get
that
held
syllogisms-
up on this. If you don't have like a justification for the possibility, I'm fine granting this premise and we can move on.
Okay. I think, look, here's what I'll say. I'll say, look, you've given us a food for thought. Like maybe that'll be something we jot down. Okay, look, create supplementary argument where it 1,000% demonstrates the possibility.
That's fine.
We'll
Sure.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
So
I'm
what
curious.
was the
Yeah,
next-
I'm super curious. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, you can give C1 and P3 to her.
Yeah, so conclusion, what would just be, therefore, some necessary thing is possible.
Necessary thing is possible.
And then conclusion 2 go be, therefore, some necessary thing is necessary. Wait, yeah.
Oh no
Yeah,
no 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 no.
It's disjunctive because we
No,
eliminated.
just but you could. You want to take out P3?
Um,
A necessary thing is either necessary and possible.
Oh, I didn't put that. Okay, yeah, you should add that premise 3 before you.
oh
get
well,
to the
that's just
conclusion.
like true by definition, I guess. But sure.
And then we have further points. So explanation is going to be the kind of talking where if the referent doesn't obtain, I think I already told you this.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we went through that. We went through that.
basically, now, I want to take it further. So basically, right, given our definition of explanation, we could say something like, since there's this necessary being, right, and if since this necessary being is in all realities, if this necessary being doesn't obtain,
Oh wait, is this like a premise 4?
yeah.
No, wait, this is a premise.
I
4?
take that to be a
This is
contradiction
something-
cooked.
well, it's
No, I'm
not
kidding.
really-
Yeah, wait.
Yeah, bro, Cap, chill. Wait, hold on,
Yeah,
hold on.
this
Hold
is
on.
the second stage, but we could just
Hold
look
on.
at this
Just wait. Just let him evaluate this all of this stage and see if he agrees first. Please.
Sure. Wait. What do you want me to do?
Do you agree with premise 3 or conclusion 2?
Sure. I'm willing to grant these. Yeah.
Well, okay, so we've at least gotten there to there. Okay, we got to there being necessary.
Well, actually, I actually agree with these conclusions already.
Yeah,
The thing that I don't agree with is that I don't think contingent things are possible. But
that's the only contention.
yes, so far, yes.
Not, bro, Cap. I think you should take my judgment on this, bro. I think we should stop right here, and then like we
Are
should.
you going to
just
get station yet?
I think we should
Is
come up and.
I think like I think the truly contentious premise that I think you guys are going to need to hold to is that the universe is contingent.
Right. Now let's stop right here and let's come back up in like a 2 weeks or something, and we'll have so much more. But we really wanted to just hear like your thoughts, critiques, blah blah.
I don't know. Okay, wait. So why do you this? I'm not sure why. Oh, okay. Maybe I do understand. Okay, so if no necessary thing is possible and a contingent thing is possible, then that possible thing cannot possibly have an external explanation. If
But yeah, we really didn't
sure,
allow this, right?
contingent thing is possible and an impossible could have an external explanation. Sure, I think that these are interesting premises. I like them.
Yeah.
I think
this
that
is-
they're. I think that they're. I mean, I have necessitarian leanings, but I think that for most people, these are going to be plausible.
This is just like stage 1 or not stage 1, but like our first variation of it. So we'll take your critiques, we'll get it tightened up, and then I think it'll be good if you could hear it in the future.
I would love to
we
hear
do have
stage 2 of it. I think that the thing that's like super contentious is definitely going to be that the universe is contingent. I don't know why. I think that's going to take some interesting justification.
Yeah, we need to work on that too.
Okay, all right, Ian. Appreciate your time. Bro.
Yeah. Have a good one. Hey, I appreciate the convo. It was cool.
Yeah.
Oh, they were pretty chill. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen sharing with your friends to know all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Catholic thinker, please don't hate me. I'm probably not going to get to you today because there's like people. Oh no, right here, right now is a part of the KG group too. And you guys should all be watching the videos on Right Here, Right Now's YouTube channel. Big shout out to him. It's a lot of like interesting stuff. He also like beat the fuck out of transphobes that one time. I was a good ass replay. When you told that dude that was like the infinity blender, I literally stole that. I used that. That's good rhetoric.